All right, welcome back, True Seeker. Friday, October 18th, 2019. We got baseball today, hockey, and some college football games. And the soonest of which starts at 3:30 p.m. college football game with Marshall. And I guess we'll just cover that game real quick since it starts in a half hour. Somebody called up. They're real passionate about this game. They see a great riddle in it. To me, it's a little bit dicey. So Marshall's a slight underdog on the road at Florida Atlantic. If Florida Atlantic did win, they would improve to 5-2, and Marshall Thundering Herd does equal 239, the 52nd prime. So there is some rhyme and reason to that. However, if Marshall won, both teams would fall to 4-3. And, of course, Florida equals 43, so does football. Games in Florida. Marshall is 5-1 versus Florida Atlantic to date. So if Marshall did lose, they would fall to 5-2, and 5-2 all time, that is. And if Florida Atlantic won, they would be 5-2. And again, Marshall Thundering Herd is 239, the 52nd prime. The other way to look at it is Marshall could improve to 6-1 all time on the 18th of the month. 61, the 18th prime number. So if Marshall got the W, both teams would become 2-1 in Conference USA. Florida Atlantic's the Owls. Owls equals 21. If Florida Atlantic won, however, they'd be 3-0 in Conference USA. Marshall Thundering Herd is also 113, the 30th prime. Looking at the coaches, the Marshall coach could pick up his 74th career win today. Today does leave 74 days in the year, so it'd be a fitting day to get that 74th win. If he stayed on 73, that's the 21st prime. Again, Owls is 21. And Florida Atlantic coach Lane Kiffin, he's 20-12 with Florida Atlantic, so his next win is number 21. Owls is 21. He's on 55 overall wins. The game's in Boca Raton, 55. Caller?
Hey, Zach. Also, on that Marshall game, man, that Marshall or the Thundering Herd, the other one, the Florida team, Florida Atlantic.
Right.
Their school was established in 1961.
Oh, Florida Atlantic was established in 1961, huh?
Yes.
Good catch. Good catch. So I see what you're thinking with that. How they could improve to 6-1 on the 18th all time against them. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that because the all-time record for the school, the whole all-time record for Florida Atlantic is 79 and 110. So if they win today, they'll be 80 and 110 like October 18th.
Okay, I hear that. It would be a lot like the date. Yeah, that could be. They definitely got a riddle to get it done. Again, Marshall Thundering Herd, 239, the 52nd prime, and they would become 5-2 against them. And all-time, Marshall would fall to 5-2 against Florida Atlantic. So it's possible. I'd say the biggest threat to that is just the fact that the Marshall coach could pick up his 74th career win on the day, leaving 74 days left in the year. But
yeah, exactly. But there's also a 47 riddle on the other side. Also, Lane Kiffin. When you put that in there, Lane Monty Kiffin equals 73. Okay. That's the 21st prime, and there's a 21 on the board for this game.
Yep.
In favor of what do you call that? A Florida Atlantic.
Wait, the 21's not in favor of them though. It would go against them, right? Because both teams could become 2-1 in their conference if Marshall won.
Well, I think Florida.
Their name's the Owls. Owls equals 21.
Yeah, exactly, 21, and I think Florida is 1-1 in the Big Ten, right?
These teams play in Conference USA.
Oh yeah, well they're 1-1 in their conference, right?
Marshall's 1-1 and Florida Atlantic's 2-0.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's an interesting game. I'm just thinking that school record, that overall school record, and that 61 will play for the Owls. Man, it just seems like it's a stronger. I guess it's a stronger riddle, like how you always said, where the school record gels up with the date numerology, and that's usually money in the bank.
well, so if we were going with 61 though, Marshall would become 6-1 versus Florida Atlantic on the 18th of the month if they beat them.
Yeah, but I'm going by the prime number relationships with the 18 and the 61, and the 18 with the 61 with the Florida being established in 61.
Okay.
And they're gonna go 118 if they win tonight with the all-time record, which would be 80 and 110.
Okay, I hear that. That does make sense. Well, I'm definitely cheering for Florida Atlantic for you, and the riddle is there for it to happen. I think the game's a little bit tight, but I'm definitely a big Florida Atlantic fan tonight.
Yeah, I know. And when it opened today, when it opened, what is that? Marshall was plus 180.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know. It's just another 18 on the board for just crazy stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I hear it.
All right,
man. All right, thanks. Okay, I'm going to come back to college football because the other games start a little bit later, and I think the best games today are in hockey. But we'll talk baseball first because, again, we've been talking about this skull and bones ritual and how it could be a Nationals and Astros World Series. Well, the Nationals are already there. It just remains to be seen if the Astros are going to complete the deal. If the Astros won today, the series would be 4-1. Game 5 equals 41 in the most pure cipher. And I should have looked at this before, but I had to look at how many days it was from George H.W. Bush's death, number 41. And today's exactly 322 days after his death. 322 skull and bones. So if the Nationals wrap it up today, I mean, I want them to wrap it up today at this point, just so I can just show the world, like, are you guys, I mean, is anyone seriously denying what's going on here? But it's also October 18th, and notice it's 10 months and 18 days since HW's death. And remember, when you write out 41 as a word, it equals 118. And when you write out George Herbert Walker Bush, it equals 118. So, I mean, you couldn't get any more skull and bones today than this. And Verlander's on the mound, who's, the guy who posed with the Bushes when he won the World Series the other year with Houston. So again, Houston wins today, it'll be a 4-1 series. If Houston lost today, it would be 3-2. Houston is 32. And so Houston's the favorite tonight, -139. The over-under's at 7.5. Houston Astros equals 75. You got a 7:08 local start time. New York 78. The Yankees have not been able to get off those 236 postseason wins, not even when it was 237 days after Severino's birthday. Their next loss is 168. New York City's 168. And hold on, we got a call. Caller?
Hello, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, this game with Verlander on the mound is 322 days after the death of HW.
Right, that's what I just said, yeah?
Oh, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I actually walked away from my laptop.
All right, yeah, it's all good, man. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right. So, yeah, make sure you guys check the notes, too. I put out the notes on this, I don't know, at least an hour ago. So if the Yankees did lose, they'd pick up their 168th postseason loss in New York City, 168. The Astros are 45-52 in the postseason right now. The note about that is today is Verlander's 241st day of his age, the 53rd prime. If they got their 53rd loss, it would go with Verlander's age, and the distance from his birthday. Normally that stuff is just lights out in the postseason, but it's been hit and miss this year in the postseason. Like the Severino 237 thing, that looked right, but maybe it was because it was all about setting up this little 3-2-2 thing here with Bush. The Yankees are 4-8 versus the Astros in the postseason. If the Astros won, they'd be 9-4, and the thought about 9 and 4, like 94, is when you write out 94, it equals 147. Houston Astros is 147. Let me double check this. I think Bronx Bombers is 147 too, the Yankees nickname. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, Bronx Bombers is 147. So it would be a fitting record to have against the Yankees, 9 and 4. And consider HW died at age 94, right? And we've documented that big 94 riddle early in the season between the Rangers and Astros. Rangers became 9 and 4 at home and won the game 9-4, synced up with the death of HW. And again, it's 322 days from his death. So the thing that's bothering me about this is Justin Verlander's 14-8 in the postseason. If he lost, he'd be 14-9. And Skull and Bones is 149, and 149 is the 35th prime number, and of course he wears number 35. So I'm wondering if he'll get the decision tonight, because maybe he ends up, maybe his team wins tonight and he gets a no decision, and he ends up losing a game in the World Series to become 14-9. He gets that Skull and Bones tribute against the Nationals, maybe. Because I'm just looking at that, I'm going, okay, that's the only thing that goes sideways tonight for this riddle that looks pretty good here for the Astros. Verlander becoming 14-9. Verlander, his next total career loss is 138. The opposing pitcher tonight is James Paxton, whose name is 138. Verlander's 22-7 for the entire year. 22-7. Again, it's his 241st day of his age, the 53rd prime. Paxton, he doesn't have a win or loss in the postseason yet. He's 56-32 for his career. His next loss would be 33. New York's 33. And let's see. Paxton's 15-6 for 2019. I guess if he lost, he'd be 15-7. 157 is the 37th prime. Yankees is 37. Today's game is 223 days after Boone's birthday. 223, the reflection of 322. You know, the whole Skull and Bones thing. So that's definitely the narrative of narratives here. If Boone lost, he'd be 6-7 in the postseason. Today has 67 date numerology. 67 is the 19th prime number. Of course, it's 2019. And Yankees would have to rally back to win the series to get to 212 postseason wins, the New York area code. If they won 2 more games in the series, they'd have 211 wins, the reflection of 112, Houston number 112. And let's see. Just thinking about Hinch's postseason and what might make the most sense. This is going to be his 42nd postseason game. The next one's 43. Astros is 43. New York Yankees is 191, the 43rd prime. DC, the letters are 4-3. D4C3. So is the 43rd game, is that the more fitting for him to be in the World Series? Or is it more fitting to advance to the World Series in that game? So if the Astros won tonight, they would be 3-2 away in the postseason. Houston's 32. If they lost, of course, they'd be 2-3. I don't really see the symbolism in 2-3. The Yankees are 2-2 at home. They could also improve to 3-2 against Houston. That's for the entire postseason that they're 2-2 at home. ALDS and ALCS. Again, Yankees are 4-3 right now in the 2019 postseason, which makes a bunch of sense. Astros 43, New York Yankees 191, the 43rd prime. If they lost, they would be 4-4, and Yankees does have the Gematria of 44 as well. The riddle for them to improve to 5-3 is again that it's the 241st day of Verlander's age, the 53rd prime. Astros' next win will put them one short of 115, so they'd probably pick up that 115th win in the World Series. And it makes me wonder if the Nationals could beat the Astros 4-1 for another Skull and Bones tribute and keep the Astros at 115 total wins for the postseason. So, might be getting ahead of myself just in case the Yankees rallied, but I think we got it there at the end of the regular season when we caught the whole Skull and Bones thing. So, and again, today's 322 days after Bush's birthday. That's how we figured it out. That whole 3-2-2 riddle at the end of the season with the Nationals, and we're like, wait a minute, we saw some Skull and Bones stuff with the Astros and Rangers this year. Now the Nationals. So today looks like the right day to finish the riddle. 322 days after the death of number 41, who died on 11/30. 11 plus 30, 41. The Astros can win the series 4-1. He really should have measured from the day of his death before the series even began. If the Yankees don't win, they're going to stay on 107 wins for the entire season. They'd have to win 2 more to get to the next symbolic number. Well, I guess 1 more could be symbolic. Major League's 108, but 2 more would get them to 109. Yankees 109. But still, just out of all these different thoughts, the whole Skull and Bones thing that we've been documenting, it just seems right. 322 days after Bush's birthday. So it's 46 weeks as well. Houston, Texas is 46. Sacrifice is 46. The scoring right now in this series, the Yankees have scored 13 runs. The Astros have scored 15. So you got 28 runs scored. And if they scored 11 like last night again, you'd get to 39 runs scored. Big New York number. If it was more of a pitching duel, I'd expect a score of maybe like 2-1 or 3-1. Maybe I shouldn't sleep on 4-1, huh? 4-1 could do it too. I guess that would put you at 33 runs for the series. New York's 33. But if it was 2-1, it would be 31 runs. Big Houston number. 3-1, 32 total runs. Another Houston number. Maybe, so I'll just make these notes. 3 runs would give you 31 scored for series. Houston equals 31. 4 runs scored. And did you guys see last night how Houston went up 3-1 in the 3rd inning? The 3-run shot by Springer in the 3rd, 3-3, New York 33. So you got your 3-1 and your 33 tribute in that. 4 runs scored would give you 32. And Houston's also 32. 5 runs scored would give you 33. New York equals 33. And I'd say after that, the next most symbolic thing would be 11 runs. And I'll just make a note here. Could we see a 4-1 score in favor of Astros to advance them to World Series? So again, Skull and Bones equals 41. Game 5 equals 41. And Houston equals 41 as well. 322 days after the death of number 41. Some of you might have been here that Friday night when the thing came in the top corner of the breaking news, the death of HW. That was a correct prediction. I said he wouldn't live past 94 and he wouldn't make it past November. So, anyway. Yeah, I can't go against the 3-2-2 thing tonight. I mean, that's what we've been locked into. And I don't hear anyone calling to object, so guessing there's maybe consensus in the thinking. All right, so that's baseball. Hockey tonight. Game starting about 40 minutes. The Avalanche at the Panthers game. I wonder if you could even see a 3-2-2 tribute here, just in light of the fact that, the Bush family, they got some connections in Florida. Could be another cross-sports thing. Florida equals 43. Panthers equals 43. Yale equals 43. So you have 67 date numerology today. Avalanche equals 67. You got to get a little bit mathematical here. 67 is the 19th prime number and 19 is the 8th prime number. And by the way, last night in football, Kansas City, another streak of 8. And should have just went with the initial thought. The streak's at 8, and Mahomes getting to 10-3 away for his career. Got gun shy on that, but at the end of the game, they put up the stat that Andy Reid was the 7th coach all time to get his 200th regular season win. I said, "Oh, figures, 7th coach all time to start Week 7." But anyway, Panthers could get their 8th points tonight. And let's see. If Colorado lost, they would stay on 55 points versus the Panthers all time. BB&T Center equals 55, the name of the arena they play in. But again, the thing that's just really jumping out at me is how if the Panthers win, they're 3-2-2. And I'm just thinking, all I can think of is Jeb Bush, the 43rd governor, H.W., the 43rd president. Not H.W.W., George W., the 43rd president. H.W. was the 43rd vice president. And you might recall that election came down to Florida. And speaking of which, let's see how many days it is from H.W.'s birthday. His birthday is July 6th, the 187th day of the year. It's like George Washington equals 187. Hold on. It's 104 days from his birthday. I'm not sure about that. When you write out 41, it's 46 as well, just like it's 46 weeks after his death. Okay. So there's some better riddles on the board tonight. Got to have a little faith in that 3-2-2 thing, because other than that, there's nothing real strong here. The Stars and the Penguins game, if the Dallas Stars lose tonight, they're going to be 1-7-1. Dallas Stars equals 171. The riddle for the Penguins to lose would be through prime numbers. Pittsburgh Penguins equals 241. The 53rd prime, Pennsylvania's 53. But I just like the more direct Dallas Stars 171, and they can be 1-7-1. If the Penguins win tonight, they'll get their 6th win of the season over Dallas. Dallas is 13, the 6th prime. They'd pick up their 12th points at home. PPG Paints Arena is 157, the 37th prime. 37 is the 12th prime. And if Pittsburgh wins, they'll be 4-2 at home. Penguins equals 42. Big number with them. They were just 4-2 before their last game. They improved to 5-2 in their 52nd season. So I'm digging the Stars being 1-7-1. The Rangers and the Capitals game. This is the 223rd game between these teams. The Rangers have 223 points versus the Capitals. I've noticed so far this season, we've seen a lot of it where it's X game number, and a team either picks up the points that match X game number or they stay on those points. It's been a really good pattern so far. So I'm going to ride that. Rangers stay on 223 points in the 223rd game. Rangers also equals 37, which is the 12th prime. Capitals can get the 12th points of the season by defeating the Rangers. One caution is the Capitals do play Chicago next at Chicago. So if they didn't get those 12 points tonight, I'd assume they would pick them up against Chicago. But they might very well end up losing that game at Chicago and staying on 12 points. I like them better getting the points tonight at home against the Rangers. If the Rangers lost in overtime, they would fall to 1-1-1 away. with an overtime loss. New York's 1-11. And if the Capitals won tonight, they'd become 2-1-2 at home, like how the New York area code's 2-1-2. So, taking the Capitals there. The Blue Jackets and the Blackhawks. If the Blue Jackets lost in overtime, they would be 3-3-1. 331, the 67th prime. That's done well for us twice with Calgary this year, but Calgary equals 67. But today has 67 date numerology, so 331, the 67th prime on the 67 date numerology. Hockey equals 67. Chicago, IL equals 67, so it could make sense to fall to 3-3-1 there. Location and date numerology fits. Columbus is 1-1-0 away. If they lose in regulation, they'll be 1-2. Chicago 37, the 12th prime. Chicago's 1-1-1 at home. If they won, they'd be 2-1-1, and they host the Washington Capitals next. Washington Capitals is 2-1-1, so they'd have a nice home record to sync up with their next opponent. The Red Wings would be a nice upset tonight. They're quite an underdog at Edmonton. Edmonton was our play of the day the other day, that Super 61 riddle over Philadelphia. But I'm thinking the Red Wings, even though the Oilers are red hot, the Red Wings might have a shot here. Detroit in 44 plays nice, so if Red Wings win, they're 4-4. And I should mention today leaves 74 days left in the year. Edmonton Oilers is 74. So Detroit's narrative to upset is to become 4-4 because Detroit's 44. If Edmonton lost tonight, they'd stay on 12 points. Detroit also sums to 37 in the most pure cipher, just like Edmonton. 37 is the 12th prime, so Detroit could keep Edmonton on 12 points. I don't know why I wrote that. That's wrong. Edmonton... I think I just meant to write. I know what I meant. I just meant to write with a loss, not an OT loss. Okay, that was a mistake. But Oilers would stay on 12 points with a loss. Also, I didn't even do the. Well, okay. I guess we can add it in here. It's the 132nd game between these teams. United States of America is 132. I wonder if that means advantage to the U.S. team, Detroit, versus the Canadian team, Edmonton. But today does have the 67 date numerology, and if the Red Wings win, they will get their 67th win against the Oilers all time. So I like that as well. So that's one other bonus there. I got to caution you guys, if there was nothing else here, it's hit and miss if you just take like a team getting the win or loss all time that syncs with the date numerology. Those riddles come through as much as they don't, but because there's other things here like the points and Detroit being 4-4, that's when something like this becomes more valuable. And also 67 is the 19th prime, 19 is the 8th prime. Red Wings could get their 8th points as well. So just add that again. Get the prime number relationships pounded in your head. So good to know. But yeah, Red Wings got a nice little riddle. The Red Wings are 2-2-0 away. If they lost, they would be 2-3 if they lost in regulation. Alberta is 23 where they're playing, Alberta, Canada. Edmonton's 3-0-0 at home. It is their 40th season. They could become 4-0 at home. Possible. So, but again, I prefer the overall record as opposed to the home and away record. So I think Red Wings got a decent shot at an upset here. And what you could do is, if you don't want to put a lot on the underdog, you can take some of these stronger games, put together a parlay card, and use the Red Wings as a multiplier with a smaller bet. But I think the Red Wings got a decent riddle. So I also wrote that if the Red Wings split the next two games, they would be 4-5 after the Canucks. Canucks is 45. They host the Canucks at home on October 22nd, which is a date with 44 numerology. So if they win this game, they'll go back to Detroit 4-4, and they'll play on that 44 date coming into the game with that record. And then the Hurricanes and Ducks. Carolina's a slight favorite on the road. This is the 39th game between these teams. Anaheim equals 39. the Hurricanes would have 39 points versus the Ducks if they lost in overtime. And the Ducks can also pick up their 22nd win versus the Hurricanes. Just make sure that's clear. 22nd win versus Hurricanes on 22-date numerology. Ducks equals 13 and 22. The Ducks would also pick up their 12th points of the season with the win. Carolina's 37, the 12th prime. Think about this last weekend in the NFL. Winston got his 37th loss. Carolina won with 37 points. The Ducks are 3-0-0 at home. If they won, they'd be 4-0-0. It's the Hurricanes' 40th season. And Carolina is 3-1-0 away. If they lost, they would be 3-2. Ducks is 32. So I think Ducks, even though they're underdogs at home, got a pretty decent narrative. And those are my thoughts on hockey. So I think there's some decent games up there today. And let's review yesterday in hockey. Yesterday in hockey, there was one disappointment. It was the Winnipeg Jets. Again, this Lightning and Bruins game looked pretty tight yesterday. You had riddles going both ways. The Wild and Canadiens, it was hard to have much. Let me pull up the scores here so we can look at them as we go over it. I was saying yesterday the Canadiens had, or not the Canadiens, the Wild had some numbers, but I didn't trust them, and they got beat pretty good, 4-0. Hold on. So Lightning and Bruins, the Lightning did beat the Bruins 4-3, Bruins 43. From my person from the Massachusetts area, she said it was bothering her when I said Bruins, but that's just what we say out here. We call them the UCLA Bruins, West Coast, East Coast. Anyway, so that one was close. It was a teeter-totter. Wild did have a little riddle, but again, they've been a bummer of a team this year. The Rangers and the Devils game, this one was a teeter-totter too. I think the Devils got their first win of the season. That wasn't our game. They won 5-2. The word devil with the alphabetic order is 52. Go figure. But, hold on. The Canucks and Blues game. This was the 193rd game. Vancouver Canucks is 193. They did win that game. The Canucks did win that game. That wasn't one of the games we went for. The Canucks were on 75 points. It was the day leaving, 75 days left in the year. That wasn't our game. I liked the Jets in this one. The Jets lost, though. That was disappointing. Jets is 54. I thought they'd hit that 5-4, 5-4 thing. Islanders beat them 3-1. The Red Wings and Flames. Again, we saw how the Red Wings could fall to 3-3-1, like 331, the 67th prime. Calgary 67 after Calgary just did the same thing. So I liked that. Calgary Flames 75. The game was on the day, leaving 75 days left in the year. The Predators and Coyotes game. This wasn't one of our games yesterday. I think the Coyotes won, though. Yeah, Coyotes won. So it was, there was a little theme. Arizona Coyotes 75. The day leaving 75 days left in the year. So Flames won with that. Coyotes won with that. Let me see. I don't think anybody else had that. Just double check. Well, it didn't work out for the Bruins, though. Boston Bruins was 75. They lost on the day, leaving 75 days left in the year. So 2 out of the 3 teams took it that had that connection. Caller?
How you doing, Zach?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
Hey, all right. Me and my father talked about you the other day. My father still like you, man. He said you very smart and you very smart. What you do, man?
Well, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, anyway, I missed it. Who you pick for Florida game? Say you like the best. I mean, don't pick it because I don't be getting trouble. But
are you talking about Marshall?
Like the best?
Are you talking about Marshall, Florida Atlantic?
No, I'm talking about the NH hockey.
Hold on.
I think we're a Florida team.
Let me see. I just finished going over it. Let me look at it again.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. I thought the Panthers had a better riddle in this game just because I'm digging the 3-2-2 possibility. But the games that I really liked today, I liked the Penguins to win. I liked the Capitals to win.
Okay.
I like the Blackhawks to win. I like the Red Wings in an upset. That's my upset pick. Red Wings to beat the Oilers. I like the Ducks. Those are the games I like today. So.
Yeah, I try to build up, some little money before this weekend comes.
There you go.
I kind of messed up last week on the remember the Georgia team messed me up. Georgia messed me up, man.
Oh yeah, the big upset. The big upset, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to fight back, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's all you can do.
But I'm listening to you now. So let me ask a question. Washington, who you pick? Washington or Florida? If you had to pick one.
Washington, Florida. Well, I guess I like the Washington Capitals riddle better because I'm putting all my stock in the 3-2-2 thing for Florida.
Oh, 3-2-2.
If Florida wins, they're going to be 3-2-2 because today's 322 days after the death of George H.W. Bush, and that family has connections to Florida too. So I'm just thinking that's why Florida might go 3-2-2 on this day.
Hey, Zach, let me ask a question. We really got better. Is college tonight? The other college game or the NHL, we think the best.
I'm not crazy about any of the college football games. I think Ohio State. Well, I'm about to do college football. I haven't done it yet. I'm not crazy about any of the college football games, but I like the hockey.
I don't think you like college. You don't like college much, do you?
Well, last Saturday I put up picks. The picks I put out last Saturday were good for college football, but I'll do it again. I'm going to decode college football games tomorrow and put them out tonight. So.
Oh yeah, you do that because when you chance, I got to start doing more and more because I've been doing lately. So I got to do my own. You posted. I got to watch. Just practice what you do. That's how you learn. So I got to start doing that too, man.
Okay, I'm gonna put out the picks though tonight. I'm gonna be decoding the games for tomorrow, and I'll put them out tonight.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Keep good work, okay? Keep good work up, man.
All right, we'll do, man. Take care.
All right.
All right, the Golden Knight and Senators game. It wasn't one of our games either yesterday. Golden Knights were a huge favorite. They won it in a shootout. Was there something we saw that if the game went to overtime? No. But the Sabres and Kings, to me, this looked like the riddle of the day yesterday. Again, Sabres improving to 6-1. Los Angeles Kings 61, picking up the 13th points versus LA. LA 13. And what was the score? Sabres beat them 3-0. So, again, if you can get a points riddle and a record to sync up with the team, that's always a great sign. So that was by far the strongest riddle on the board yesterday. So Calgary and Kings were two of the games we liked yesterday. I thought the Jets would come through. That was my third game. So we got 2 out of 3 yesterday. The rest of the games were really tight, in my opinion. But anyway, this by far was the best riddle. Just like the day before, it was the Oilers over the Philadelphia riddle. We also saw that the Kings could get their 59th loss in regulation versus the Sabres yesterday. That was another thing there. 59 on the 17th, 59 the 17th prime. So, I mean, that game just had it going on. If there was any game to go big on yesterday, it was that one. LA was even a slight favorite yesterday. Interesting. And then LA fell to 1-3 at home for another 13. So there it was. Okay. For my big kahuna out there, man, you got to start thinking about these hockey games. I know that Capitals game got you, so you're sour from that. But look, I mean, hockey, we're getting the majority of games right each day. So, alrighty, let's talk about the college football games. The Marshall game starting right now, and again, I'm cheering for Florida Atlantic because we got somebody in the community that put some money down on Florida Atlantic. He called me about it. He's really digging the riddle. It's very possible Florida Atlantic wins because Marshall Thundering Herd equals 239 the 52nd prime. But what I worry about is how both teams could be 4-3. Again, Florida 43 like football. If Marshall lost tonight, they would fall to 5-2 versus Florida Atlantic all time. So you could get that 52 in 2 ways. Again, Marshall Thundering Herd 239 the 52nd prime. My concern though is it's the 18th of the month, which is the 61st prime, and if Marshall wins, they're 6-1, which looks like 61. And the Marshall coach could also get his 74th win on the day, leaving 74 days left in the year. So that game's underway. Personally, I think it's a little bit dangerous. Pittsburgh at Syracuse. This game's interesting. If Pittsburgh loses, they'll be 4-3. They're the Panthers. Panthers is 43. Pittsburgh Panthers is 241, the 53rd prime, like Pennsylvania's 53. They very well could end up being 5-3 after their next two games. Here's what's going on, though. Pittsburgh is 39-32-3 versus Syracuse. Syracuse is in New York. New York's 39-33. So if Pittsburgh lost, they'd be 39-33 New York numbers. I know it doesn't have to be that way. There was a riddle like that last year with Syracuse. I'd have to go back and see what it was. When Syracuse played Notre Dame, it seemed unlikely that Syracuse would win. They were a major underdog, but they had such an awesome alignment in numbers, but it didn't come through, and it was something about those New York numbers. But what's interesting about tonight's game is it's the 39th game between these teams in Syracuse. So if Pittsburgh didn't win, they'd stay on 39 wins in the 39th game in Syracuse. Maybe like if, say, the Yankees get eliminated tonight, New York gets some love through a Syracuse-type win. The last game at Syracuse was October 7th, 2017. That was 741 days ago, which is the 38th triangular number. Panthers is 38. Syracuse won that game narrowly, 27-24. What makes me apprehensive about this game is the Pittsburgh coach. His next win is 33. New York's 33. Orange is 33. His next loss is 27, though, and Syracuse Orange is 207, which does look a bit like 27. But just the fact that if he couldn't get his 33rd win, I would take Syracuse in this. But because he can, I'm just like, yeah, it just makes me not want to mess with it. Syracuse plays Florida State next. Florida State Seminoles is 241, the 53rd prime. Just like, or never mind. 241, the 53rd prime. If Syracuse won their next two games, they would become 5-3. It's going to be tough, though, for them to win their next two games because I think Pitt and Florida State are probably both better teams. And the Florida State game's in Florida State. It's possible, but doesn't seem likely. Pittsburgh plays the Hurricanes next. Hurricanes is 53, right? And if Pitt splits, they'll be 5-3, just like how we were saying that Pittsburgh Panthers equals 241, the 53rd prime. Pennsylvania's 53. So if Pitt lost tonight, I think that would give them a good shot against Miami. But Syracuse is probably the easier team. Let me look at where that Pitt game is again. They do have Miami at home, though. So let me see. Miami Hurricanes football schedule. Well, I guess Miami's not having the greatest season. 3-3. So if Pitt lost tonight, 4-3, then they could beat Miami next week to get to 5-3. Again, if Syracuse won tonight, both teams would be 4-3. Panthers is 43. I mean, personally, I do think a little bit more lines up for Syracuse, just it being the 39th home game and all, but I really don't like that the Pitt coach can get his 33rd win. That one bothers me. Okay, Ohio State, huge favorite over Northwestern. Somebody called up today and said they think Ohio State can get upset. Again, I've been talking about it all year. Before the season began, the death of Beanie Wells' brother. Beanie Wells played at Ohio State. His brother's death was perfectly synced with the first game, with the first opponent. To me, that was a sign that Ohio State was going to have a big year. And I just don't see him losing a game like this. You know, we've seen two riddles in the last 3 weeks for opponents against Ohio State that made it look like the opponent had a chance. But like I said, I was like, yeah, there is a riddle there, but I just don't see Ohio State losing. And it's the same type of thing with this game. What the person saw was if the Ohio State coach lost Ryan Day, he would fall to 9-1, and Wildcats equals 91. So does Buckeyes. I mean, it's possible, but he could also improve to 10-0 in the Big Ten, right? That would be symbolic as well. 10-0 in the Big Ten, 100th NFL season, 10-0. Crossover between college and NFL. So OSU is a 27-point favorite on the road. I noticed that. So the over/under is 50, and Ohio State's a 27-point favorite. There hasn't been a single Northwestern game yet this year that accumulated 50 points. They've all been under 50. And right now, Northwestern's biggest loss was 21 points. It was on their home field to Michigan State. Now, that said, if Ohio State did win tonight by 28 points, there'd be a nice little mathematical riddle there. Again, 28's the 7th triangular number, just like how last night in the NFL game, first game of Week 7, number 28 scored the first touchdown of the game. And then number 17 scored the first touchdown for Kansas City, and I didn't even look. I gotta be sure to look up all these backups and stuff. 17's the 7th prime, so the first 2 touchdowns of last night's game were 28 and 17, numbers that connect to 7. But if Ohio State won by 28 points, Buckeyes equals 28, and they'd get their 7th win of the season. Northwestern Wildcats also sums to 270, a bit like 27. But I could see a 28-point win by Ohio State. This is going to be the best team Northwestern's faced. If Michigan State can beat them by 21, there's reason to believe that Ohio State can beat them by 28. They got a more dynamic offense. As for the over-under being at 50, Ryan Fields 50. This would be the first game of the season that reached 50 points against Northwestern. Ohio State has been putting up a lot of points. Let me put up their... whoops, can't type again. Let's look at Ohio State's scoring this year. So, 34-10 over Michigan State last week. I mean, they beat Michigan State by 24. Michigan State beat Northwestern by 21. Things don't always work out that way, but just a thought. 48-7 versus Nebraska. Ohio State wasted Miami of Ohio. 51-10 over Indiana. 42-0 over Cincinnati. 45-21 over Florida Atlantic. So they only have one game that hasn't... Or no, I take it back. Two games that haven't reached 50 or more points. Those were both home games. Blowouts. Because, I mean, that's the thing. If Ohio State goes up big, they might just sit back and chill. Northwestern's offense isn't real great. Northwestern loses, they'll be 1-5. Ohio 47 in the alphabetic order, the 15th prime. Ohio State could fall to 6-1 if they got beat. Ohio's also 61. I doubt it, though. Ohio State equals 40. Ohio State becoming 4-0 in the Big Ten and making Northwestern 0-4. The reflection makes the most sense. And I can see them covering, but again, Northwestern has not given up, hasn't lost by more than 21 this season. They got a decent defense. The UNLV Fresno State game. Fresno State's a 14.5-point favorite. And let me make sure I finished doing the stadium and location here, because I don't see any notes. Bulldogs Stadium 52. So that goes with our over-under. Bulldogs Stadium 52. And Fresno, CA. California's 52 as well. Okay. But here's what stood out about this game. Rebels in the most pure ciphers, 25. Notice if the UNLV Rebels lose tonight, they would be 2-5. And UNLV also sums to 39. If UNLV lost tonight, they would become 3-9 against Fresno State all time. Notice they're 3-8 right now, and Rebels is also 38. So reason to believe they could fall to 3-9. It's in the numbers. The Fresno State coach tonight, if he wins, sending UNLV to 2-5, he would also get his 25th win as the Fresno State coach. The only thing that I could say going against him is he could get his 10th loss. When you write out 10, it equals 39 like UNLV. Actually, there's one other thing. His all-time stats are 106 and 66. We do have 67 date numerology today, but again, Gematria is usually better than date numerology. The fact that he can get his 25th win with Fresno State over the Rebels and they can fall to 2-5, it's definitely the stronger riddle. The concern is he could get that 67th loss on the 67 date numerology. And I often scratch my head at how things can always be this way so often. It's just like, how is this even possible? But, and then with regards to the date numerology, the UNLV coach could also get his 19th win on the 67 days. 67 is the 19th prime. Or he can stay on 18 wins on the 18th. UNLV does play the San Diego Aztecs next. And this is actually my biggest concern about this game. Because it does look better for Fresno State. Not sure they cover. But this is my biggest concern right here. UNLV's 2-4. Who they play next is the San Diego State Aztecs. Aztecs equals 34. And San Diego State equals 139, the 34th prime. So if they won tonight, if UNLV upset Fresno State, they'd go in against the Aztecs 3-4. Also, Fresno State plays the Colorado State Rams next, and Rams equals 24. If Fresno State lost, they'd be 2-4. So it doesn't always work out that way, as we know. Teams don't always go in with the perfect record against the next opponent. Again, I do think just the strongest riddle just looking at this game is how UNLV can fall to 2-5, Rebels 25, and that coach for Fresno State can get his 25th win. I'm just not sure about if they cover. And taking them on the money line probably doesn't pay much because they're nearly a 15-point favorite. And just because there's a little risk there, it's probably a game that's just ultimately not worth it. So there'll be plenty of college football tomorrow. And like I said yesterday, we're going to have a ton of sports action. We're going to be overwhelmed with sports action here once Wednesday comes around. Well, maybe after Wednesday when the NBA season really gets into full swing. Just because we're going to have hockey every day. We're going to have NBA every day. We're going to have football. We're going to have college basketball. We're going to have college football. I mean, we're going to be swimming in sports games. So... and for people who are newer here, college basketball, once we get a little bit deeper into the season, that's a great time to earn because the prime numbers are just so great in college basketball. And there starts being days near the end of the season where there's just a ton of games on the board. And it'll be like a 23-date numerology, right? And you'll see all these teams that can pick up their 9th win of the season. And they'll be like... maybe 15 games on the board with that possibility, and literally 11 to 12 out of those 15 games, the team will pick up their 9th win on the 23 date. So good times ahead, and what I'm saying is, just be patient. So there's some good games in hockey tonight, in my opinion. Not sure about these college football games today, and again, if you're already in on the baseball and you took the parlay advice before the postseason began with the Astros and the Nationals, you might just want to sit back and enjoy that because it's looking very likely that that's going to come through. And, so I think we can wrap it up there. The games are about to get underway. And I'm going to be putting out college football notes tonight, get it all done tonight so you guys can look at it tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll definitely do our NFL live stream, and I'll put out some. So that's how to look for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll put out hockey games in the morning, try to get them all out before the games start, and then in the early afternoon time we'll do our NFL Week 7 Decode. So I'm just trying to keep up with everything. There's a lot to keep up with here. Yeah, I just came in. I see Matthew's comment sticking out in front of my face. He's saying all about the coach record in college, and it is very true. In college football, it is very much coach-driven. I wouldn't say as much in college basketball, but definitely in college football. Matthew says I'm misreading the Fresno game. What did I misread? You're saying that there's different stats out there than the college reference site for Fresno and... Hold on. All right, hold on. Let me put this up real quick. So you're saying these stats are wrong. Let me see. Caller?
Yeah.
Hey, Rod.
You cool. Hey, I was just going to ask you for your a little opinion. I'm going to do Ohio State on the spread, but I wanted to know what would be a better buy, the -27 full game or -17 first half? Because you know how the team stop, they bullshit in the fourth quarter when they up so much, you know?
Well, 17's the 7th prime, right? Ohio's the 17th state. They're going for their 7th win, so that's a strong pairing right there, 17 and 7.
Right, but I don't want to push either, you know?
Right.
It's -17 first half and then -27 the full game. I was just thinking which one you would think would be the better buy.
What's the public money on? Did you look at that?
It's not bad. It's like 69% Ohio State, but it's not that lopsided. But its money is on Ohio State.
I could see them being up 17 points at halftime, and I can see them winning by 28. So.
Okay, well I'm gonna go with the first half, man. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. All right. Good luck, man.
Appreciate it, Zach.
All right. Yeah. Take care, man. See you.
All right.
He had the right call on the Chiefs too last night when Denver went right down the field. Denver didn't score another point the rest of the game. All right. So Fresno State, 7-14, 21st game. This goes back to 1979. So. I don't know how I have the wrong numbers on the game. I mean, anyway. All right, here. I'm gonna give you a thing so you can post the link, Matthew. I'm gonna wait here for Matthew to post the link because he's saying that there's different stats on the school page. You said use this, but I think whatever you meant to paste didn't come through. Whatever use this is didn't come through. I just gave him the mod, so he should be able to post now. I want to see what link he's talking about. Okay, I'm going to wait for him to post this real quick. Did he write something up above? Let's see. Okay, so let's see what he's got. So this is from the UNLV site. Okay. Okay, leads the series 14-7, which is exactly what I have posted, so I'm not sure what numbers are wrong here. Okay, I'm not sure what numbers are wrong. That's exactly what we have in the notes, that they're 14-7 against them. So what are we talking about? I have their record at Fresno State. Is that what you're saying is wrong? Because that's right too. They're 3-8 at Fresno State. It showed up, Matthew. I can see your link. But I'm not sure what you're saying is wrong. Because that's what I had him at. 7-14, 3-8 at Fresno State. That's the same thing we got here. Here's the record at Fresno State, 3-8. Okay, Mo, if you're asking to go over the NHL picks, we did that. We did that near the beginning of the live stream. All the notes are up on the Patreon page too. I posted the college notes, I posted the hockey notes, and I posted the MLB notes. Okay, you're trying to point out the overall record in their division and their all-time record. So maybe you see something in that. 252, 335. Okay, I don't see that links up with either team. 253 is the 22nd triangular number. You do have 22 date numerology. Maybe that's what you're trying to point out, that UNLV could get the 253rd win on the 22 date. Yeah, I covered that, Matthew, about that. That's the one thing. The date numerology is there to support UNLV upsetting. So, all of that's here. All right, I'll put this link in the notes, though. I'd say, yeah, the Fresno State upset's not out of the question. It would be a nice payout. So Fresno State could get their 253rd all-time win on the 22 date numerology. Again, 253, the 22nd triangular number. All right, it's UNLV, right? What did I just do with that? All right, UNLV. Hold on. What did I just do? UNLV can pick up 253rd win all time. So. All right, it sounds like you like UNLV in the upset. It's not out of the question. The 67-19 thing is there, but so is the Rebels 25 thing. And to me, it seems that Gematria usually trumps date numerology. Not always, but typically. So, if you like UNLV for the upset, they got a lot of points to cover. So, UNLV to cover sounds like it's your pick. Personally, I'm just going to wait for better games. So, all right, we'll leave it there. Be back tomorrow, early afternoon. Again, I'm on the West Coast, you guys, so, when it's like noon here, it's 3 p.m. on the East Coast. But I will get out the college football notes tonight, and then I'll get out hockey notes tomorrow morning. And once I'm done with all my my notes, I'll fire up the live stream, and I'll try to start the live stream for football as early as possible. So I imagine at the latest it would be like 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. But I'll try to start before that too. So yeah, I always think it's smart to take the points with when you're going for an underdog. To me, it's all about building it slowly but surely. You go for the big windfall, that's how you lose it all. So. All right, we'll leave it there, you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back tomorrow. Till next time.